I've got three quick fire questions I want to pick your brain on.
Okay.
So I'm just going to kick off. And it's a kind of a classic example of what comes into danalto these days. So, for example, a tracking use case that needs to retrieve assets in a large area, for example, a laydown yard under a certain time period. Maybe it's, X number of assets. Where typically would a user start? I mean, there's obviously lots of considerations like different technologies. Where does the data go? How do I use the data? You know, where is a good starting point in your experience?
Well, first of all, the biggest thing that you want to talk to a client or a prospective client is, what is their use case? If this is a fresh build, if it's outage or maintenance, is it in replenishment? There's going to be a lot of things we need to talk about. You also need to identify what the asset is. Is it homogeneous or heterogeneous? And the heterogeneous, obviously, these are unique items. They're typically built one-offs. They're unique. They have to be considered and consumed in a unique fashion. Those things become important because that actually dictates the type of tag that you're going to use for that component. And certainly we don't want to take a $20 bill and tape it on a $5 product. That's not a wise use of resources and money, but it holds true that if it's a homogeneous component, you don't need to be putting, a $20 tag on that $5 product. Typically, a QR code, barcode, or a passive RFID would satisfy the need. But it comes down to is once you get all of this stuff established, and you actually look at the environment, that if it's a fresh build in construction or it's a existing petrochemical plant or refinery, you have to discern what type of response that you're going to get with the infrastructure as far as timing, how often that tag or badge or whatever is going to end up blinking. Um, that refresh rate, that blinking that I'm speaking about right there, gives you the ability to hone in on the product as it's in the field. If it's a non-GPS GNSS type device where you're using longitude and latitude to find it, the refresh rate typically is going to be a little bit longer. So it'll be more of a near real-time solution versus a real-time. All of these questions need to be asked, but in a traditional sense, you would figure out what kind of a tag you're going to use. And you'd also figure out if you're going to be putting it on at its point of origin, meaning at the fabricator or the manufacturer site. Do they want to identify it so it's pre-tagged before it comes to your site? If not, then you assign the tag when you get to the site. You have to go through all the procedures if it's the latter, where you're going to be tagging something when it gets received at the site. There's procedures that you're going to go through, such as identifying it. What is the part number? If, let's say, we're building a refinery or a chemical plant, on the pipe spools, they have ISO numbers, which makes them unique. There's going to be the process, in which case that you're joining the tag to the product, identifying, tying that record together. All these things are processed, and it becomes important in the discussion because it's not just tagging a component, it's getting its location in the sphere of the workplace. Is it high? Is it low? Is it indoors? Is it outdoor? All those things become important. But in the retrieval side, you mentioned that you want to get it in a certain allocated time frame. Well, there's that axiom that time is money. And if you don't know where the component is, and you're sending 1, 2 guys, 3 guys, a crew of 5 guys out to find this specific component, that time element is important. Not only that you're paying multiple people to go out and locate this thing, which they consider not immediately available, but the ripple effect to that whole process is you have trades on the other end that are standing there waiting. So you can have everything from a leased crane with an operator to a material handler to welders to pipe fitters to everybody's standing there waiting for this thing that's not there. So that time element becomes very important, that you are able to retrieve the component and get it to the work face as fast as possible. Cardinal's job in this is to identify the asset in the time and space as far as a laydown yard or in a indoor storage facility like a warehouse, be able to ensure that it arrives to the work face or the site on time. It's going to be part typically of a pick list or an installation work package, or an IWP as they call it. So, you know, the chance of a person going out and picking one item for the day's work, yeah, that happens, but typically it is a series of items that need to be delivered to the work face in order for the whole process to take place. So this is a delicate balance of information, location, and logistics that comes into play. That's a very long-winded answer. It's not where you can say, yeah, take 3 of these tags and call me in the morning. I mean, it's a very deliberate process, a lot of planning. Once this all gets put in place, the streamlining becomes very evident, and the cost benefit for all of this is very apparent, because what you're doing is you're reducing the amount of time that it takes to get a component to the work face. Excuse me, hence keeping a project on schedule. These guys all have schedules. And all of these projects, some of them are cost plus, most of them are fixed price, and you can't have people wandering around aimlessly looking at something or looking for something. All the while, you've got a ripple effect of thousands of dollars an hour of people standing around waiting. So time is of the essence, and being able to locate it is very, very important. And it's been well proven. Construction Industry Institute did they had a research team. I was part of it, and we took 2 years documenting the effectiveness of technology in the workplace. And this was over 10 years ago. And we had a reduction of tenfold on finding materials and getting them to the workplace. So it was 10 times quicker. And this was actually put together by major universities, major constructors, and major companies, as well as we had a team of 2 Six Sigma black belts documenting everything. So all of that information is available, but it is been well documented at the savings.